All right, you guys, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Of course, you guys have heard about the scrutiny, and that was last night at the correspondence dinner. And of course, it was staged. We're going to get into just a few aspects of that to begin the show. I don't want to get too hung up on it, but I do want to give you guys a baseline of understanding about what happened. Now, Trump came out and gave some comments and literally said that this was the justification to finish the ballroom. He said, this is why we need security with the bunker and the ballroom. And yes, in fact, it is factual that Carolyn Leavitt, the White House press secretary, stated some shots fired tonight in the room in a red carpet interview, and that was before the correspondence dinner. Now, the reason why we're going over this is because it's important to understand what the facts are before getting lost in all of the drama, right? We live in an era now where nobody knows what's true anymore, but this was actually caught on camera that she literally said shots would be fired, and then moments later, the shots were fired. And I don't know if that was a slip of the tongue or not, but it was very bizarre and weird that she said that. Now, there are also grumblings that the scruter was wearing a shirt that had a Mossad logo on it. Now, I can't confirm that one, and I don't know if that image is AI, but what I can tell you is that there is a lot of funny business going on with this scruting. So I wanted to very quickly tell you what is real and what isn't surrounding the event without getting distracted from today's show, because today's show is very, very important. But one more thing before we move on. The scruting took place on the eve of the 116th day of the year, and which of course is 9/11 rotated 180 degrees. I'll put that in the chat here. So of course, these numbers signal emergency events, right? Obviously. And we found this pattern over the years with different events as well. So that's what's going on with that. Now, let's get into today's show. First off, I renamed Friday's show to emphasize the major discovery that the Zorro Ranch, Epstein Island, and Mar-a-Lago all fall on one single ley line. Now, that is huge news. That was a brand new discovery. I don't know if anyone's ever made that alignment in Google Earth. Unfortunately, the video from Friday is sitting at like 3,000 views. So either it's being censored or people didn't get the gist of what we were trying to cover on Friday. Yes, they all fall on one ley line, and it's exact. It literally goes through the actual buildings. It's not 20 miles away, 50 miles away. No, it is exact. And the other huge news from Friday's show is that the missing ley line, the Epstein ley line, actually completes the missing ley line of a pentagram that we found about 12 years ago, covering the entire United States. Now, I'm going to show all that to you in Google Earth. Actually, I could show it to you here. Here it is here. Now, this is a screenshot from what we're going to look at. But what you see in yellow are the ley lines that we found in 2013. And the final ley line connects Zorro Ranch, Mar-a-Lago, and Epstein Island down in the right corner. And we found something else. We found a twin pentagram in black here. What is it? Well, it's a series of eclipses. Here are the eclipses mapped out here. A series of eclipses, some of which have already happened, and some future eclipses that extend into the next 70 years. So what we have are a twin pentagram over the United States, one formed by the eclipses and one formed by the existing ley lines we already found. Wow. Now, as you can see, you do some dot connecting here, and this is where the pentagram appears. Here's the apex of the pentagram up here, crossbar. And so what I did is I filled in the lines. Here's the same eclipse with the lines filled in. that form a rudimentary pentagram. Okay, let's flip back and forth so you can get your bearings. And then I'll show you this in Google Earth. So there you see it. Now this is shocking, because what does this mean? Well, it's weird that there's this other pentagram sitting next to the eclipse patterns. Now, these eclipses, as you can see on your screen, you can see the dates of these eclipses. There's one from August 21st, 2017. That was a major eclipse. And April 8th, 2024, just a couple years ago. And as you can see, the rest of these eclipses span into the future. It's 2071, 2045, 2052, and all the way out to 2099 over the next 70 years. So only 2 of these eclipses have happened already. But as you can see, each of these eclipse paths forms part of the lines of a pentagram, sitting side by side with the pentagram that we discovered 12 years ago. Twin pentagrams, Gemini pentagrams. Now, I did superimpose this over the ley lines in Google Earth. I'm going to show that to you. But before we pull open Google Earth, here's the weird thing. The 2 eclipses that already occurred in 2017 and 2024 kind of line up with both of Trump's presidencies, don't they? The 2017 and 2024 eclipses line up with Trump's presidencies. Trump is the Gemini twin president who won twin presidencies, separated by what he says he won. So he really had 3 presidents, or he should have had 3 presidencies. So he claims. But this is weird, right? That the only 2 eclipses that have already occurred in this pattern fell within Trump's presidency. Now, what is going on with this? Well, one of these, the 2017 eclipse, bisects 2 of these, as you can see on your screen here, it bisects 2 of these eclipses. So the 2099 eclipse and the 2045 eclipse is bisected by the August 21st, 2017 eclipse. Weird. Now, let's go into Google Earth, and then we're going to end the show today with some headlines. There are some important headlines that we could go over. Let me check them with you guys, and we'll get into Google Earth. Good morning. This is shocking. Let's pull this up here. All right, there we are. Hopefully you guys can see this. Now, what is up with this? Well, as you can see, here are yellow lines. Now, I'll go ahead and toggle on and off the eclipse pattern over top, so you can see how I did this. So I tried to line it up as best I could. But these are all of the eclipses from 2017 to 2099. Let's back this up a little bit. I'll toggle this on again. As you can see, this other eclipses, or this other pentagram, is right next to it. The eclipse patterns. Now, one of you asked me to find the center of the ley line eclipse. Okay. So I remember geometry, and the way you would try to find the center of a pentagram is to draw another pentagram inside of it. So I did it, and that's in red. So you can see the pentagram inside in red, and you could continue to keep drawing pentagrams inside of the pentagram here and get down to the exact center. But at this point, I eyeballed it, and the center of the pentagram seems to be right here. Now, what makes this weird is this is very close to West Memphis. It is literally within a mile of West Memphis. Here's the center of the pentagram, as you can see on your screen. And here is the location of where the alleged West Memphis 3 bodies were found. I found it in Google Earth let's zoom in on it. Now, what could all this mean? Well, we're talking about pentagrams, aren't we? And here we are with the West Memphis 3 satanic panic, wasn't it? It was all about pentagrams and devil worshippers, was the accusation. This is crazy. West Memphis, Arkansas. Now, what are the odds of this? Well, remember, everything about these ley lines that we already found 12 years ago, except for the Epstein line, they're all based in the number 88, aren't they? This line across the top, the crossbar of the pentagram, is the 88-degree alignment of Washington, D.C., where Trump just resurfaced the reflecting pool. That just happened. And then we have the 188th ley line running from the bottom of your screen up to the top diagonally. And then, of course, so all of these lines include the number 88, don't they? Well, here's what makes that weird. Because the West Memphis 3 murders were about 3 8-year-old boys that were killed on Cinco de Mayo. 8, 8, and 8. And there they are at the center of the pentagram. Of the pentagram within the pentagram. Now, is that an accident? I don't believe that it was. Now, I've got some other bombshell discoveries for you guys about this pentagram. This is not just an arbitrary pentagram. We're going to plot some points of interest that you guys mentioned on Friday's show to see if they fall on the line. And I'll take a couple of other recommendations of things you might want me to look at to see if they fall on the line as well. But here are the bombshells. First of all, Mount Hermon. Well, let's do a quick summary first. Line across the top here is the alignment of the Capitol building and the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. It forms an alignment that is 88 degrees on the map, and I just drug that all the way across the United States. That's the top line. Then this vertical line on your screen here, let's make it vertical so you know what I'm talking about. The vertical line on your screen goes from the Temple of the Feathered Serpent and it points to Astana, Kazakhstan, all the way through the North Pole, where there is also a feathered serpent. And there's a line in the aerial view that lines up exactly with the yellow line on your screen. Then we have this vertical line, which is called the 188th ley line. That runs from the Temple of the Feathered Serpent in Mexico all the way up through Sandy Hook Elementary. It also runs through the Georgia Guidestones, the Apollo 6, Apollo 11. Let's zoom this in for you guys. Apollo 6, Apollo 11, Georgia Guidestones, Sandy Hook Elementary, goes all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to Stonehenge. And guess where else this 188th ley line goes to? Are you ready? Let's fix this. It goes through Mount Hermon. Now, one of you asked me to look at this. There you see the line. And here is Mount Hermon. Right here. Mount Hermon. I didn't extend the line, but it's clear where it goes. Let's zoom this out now. Now that you see Mount Hermon in the center of your screen, let's zoom this out, and you'll see the yellow line emerge on the left. And as you can see, it's dead on. I should probably extend this at some point. I'll do that, but I don't want to mess up the line right now. Maybe I should just extend it right now while we're live so you could see this. how close it gets. Okay. Kind of eyeball it. All right. There's the line. There's Mount Herman. Let's drag it over. And then we'll be able to see how close it actually gets. To Stonehenge. Well, let's go back to Stonehenge. See how close it actually came. Okay, it's got to go up a little bit. So that would be an alignment. Now, what does all this mean? Well, it means that not as all is what it seems. Now, let's keep going. How about the Gateway Arch in St. Louis? Let's take a look. That was one that you guys wanted me to look at. Let's fix this. And it's relatively close. Let's zoom in on it. But it's kind of hard to tell. It's not exact, but there is the St. Louis Arch, top of your screen. It's probably about 25, 35 miles from the line. So close, but I wouldn't call this necessarily an alignment. Now, the Vatican didn't really line up either. I looked up the Vatican, that did not line up with any of these ley lines. And I also looked up the Devil's Tower in Wyoming. That did not fall on any of these lines either. What else? Well, let's go ahead and plot some of the points you guys might be interested in. And I will show you this. Let's see if there's any we hadn't covered. Here's Area 51, Hoover Dam, very close to the ley line. And of course, Bohemian Grove is up here on the left. And if you look to the right, you'll see that the ley line comes relatively close, within 25 to 45 miles. And so I just wanted to make sure you guys saw all these points of interest. And now I'm going to go into the chat and see if there's anything you guys would like me to take a look at. But whoa, there it is, you guys. So the West Memphis 3 Satanic Panic, which was all about pentagrams and Satan worship, falls at the very center of everything. And really, that was when things changed in America, right? Did Columbine happen before or after that? Because that would be interesting. All right, I'm back in the chat, you guys. I can actually see you. You're looking at the Google Earth, but I can see you in the chat. Pisa Tower. Okay, let's take a look. Let's write some of these down so I can pop over. Tower of Pisa. Anything else? Okay, so right now I just have the Tower of Pisa. How do you even spell that? Is it P-I-Z-A or P-I-S-A? Columbine was after. Yeah, everything changed. That was, the West Memphis 3 was kind of the first shooting, wasn't it? Okay. Any other places you guys want me to look at? Vatican did not fall on any of the lines. Now, there's a ley line at the Vatican. It's aligned to 88 degrees. So maybe I'll map that and do a future show on it. Let's see here. Vatican ley line. Some said the McMartin preschool. Let's take a look. No, that crossbar falls well below. I think McMartin was in San Diego, wasn't it? And this line goes all the way down into Baja, Mexico. So I don't see an alignment there. What about the pyramids? Now, there are ley lines with the pyramids, but we're just focused on this pentagram to see if any of those lines intersect. And the pyramids don't fall close to any of those ley lines. There's many other ley lines, you guys, but this is just the pentagram on the United States. Eiffel Tower Space Needle. Let's take a look here. No, it clips the top of France, but I don't see the ley line going anywhere near Paris. Yeah, Paris is, well, here's Paris down here. So kinda, but that's still like 100 miles. So no, got no alignment there. There's CERN at the center of your screen. So, and it doesn't cross anything in Italy. So nothing there. Ooh. Nope, doesn't hit Romania. Okay. All right. Any other points you guys want me to look at? And then we'll get into a couple of these headlines today. Now, please share Friday's show. That's a major discovery. Let's go over that real quick before we get into the headlines. So, we'll just start with Epstein Island, Little St. James. Okay, and then we'll just hop from point to point on this last ley line. We're going to call this the Epstein ley line. So here's Little St. James. So there's the line. Then we go to Mar-a-Lago. Which is also next to Epstein's Palm Beach estate, which is there. And then we go, got to find it here, sorry. Tesoro Ranch. Wow. So this is the line, you guys. That's pretty insane. That is a new discovery. All right. What about the portal they built a few years ago in Montreal, Canada? Are there volcanoes on the lines? Cape Canaveral. Let's look up Cape Canaveral. Nope, very far away from the ley lines. Let's look for volcanoes. Gosh, we don't have a lot of volcanoes in America. Let's take a look. Most of those volcanoes are going to be out here. Oh, now the 188th ley line does have a major volcano, the volcano in Mexico. It's right next to it. So there's one. Oh, look at this. Well, Zorro Ranch is surrounded by dormant volcanoes. Those are volcanoes, you guys. Whoa. Wonder if he's just chilling next to like a portal or something. There's Zorro Ranch at the center of your screen. And yes, these volcanoes fall on the ley line. What are the name of these volcanoes? South Mountain. These are dormant. Placer Mountain looks like a dormant volcano. Sandia Crest. Oh, that's the Sandia Mountains. Is this Albuquerque? Because I do know those are next to the Sandia Mountains. Yeah, that's Albuquerque. So, volcanoes. What else? Is there any more volcanoes? Yeah, it looks like there's a volcano there, possibly. Dormant volcano. I think these are tree stumps too. There's another one. Whoa. Oh, that might not be a volcano there. There's a Navajo Nation. Nation. Okay, this looks like these could be. Oh yeah, look at that. Couple possible volcanoes. Now there's a lot of this kind of activity in this. And Hoover Dam below. So they're both pretty close to the line, within 20 to 30 miles. Uh-oh, breaking up. That's probably just because I'm moving around Google Earth. Let's see here. Uh-oh. Oh. Properties. Let's see if we could fix this. Oh yeah, it says we have sound. It's just probably because I'm moving around Google Earth. Should be back now. You guys might need to refresh. Refresh. Okay. CERN, yeah, we already mapped CERN. Make a bigger pentagram. All right. Marquette, Michigan. All right. Marquette, Michigan. Let's take a look. Nope. Way far away. Okay. Seattle's nowhere close. That's way up and to the left. Not to say there aren't ley lines, but we're just talking about the pentagram ley lines today. Yeah, it's live chat. Arkansas State Capitol. Let's take a look. I don't think so, but you're talking about Little Rock, right? Nope. Nothing in Arkansas Capitol. Big Ben? Oh, back in England? Okay, let's take a look. Big Ben. That is in England, so it might fall in the line. Nope. London and all that is way north of the line. Stonehenge is in southern England. It's crazy. There's an Apollo 10 in London. Had no idea. I've got to fix this line a little bit. Go up a little bit more. All right. That should do it. I'll come back and fine tune that later. All right, we'll do two more. Nope, doesn't go anywhere close to Chicago. Wait, let me double check. Yeah, nowhere close to Chicago. One more. Yeah, nowhere. Oh, Philadelphia, Hot Springs, Arkansas. No line. None of the lines go through any part of Arkansas. Let's see. Let's look at Texas and then Philadelphia. So, Texas has a conjunction, two lines together, and both of those go through Dallas. That's Dallas. And look, you got the JFK incident almost right here at the center of where the yellow lines cross. You've got the Apollo 7 shuttle. This is the Tesla Tower in Texas, near Italy, Texas. So this is a huge conjunction here. Now you do get, I forgot to show you guys this. Waco, Texas falls on the line here. And what else? Corpus Christi falls on the line. Waco. And Temple. These are all the Texas cities that fall on the line. That's Dallas. It goes north. And that's it. So there's Texas. And then there's another conjunction. New Mexico has the other conjunction. And that's where we get Zorro Ranch and things like this. That's at like another conjunction. So these conjunctions of the pentagram where two lines are crossing are pretty important, aren't they? Santa Fe. All of this is at the conjunction. Zorro Ranch. I guess you could say Albuquerque. So this is an important conjunction here. There's another conjunction up here, but there's really nothing here at this one. Let's see, what is this? The Osage Reservation. So this conjunction, well, Wichita. Wichita is at this conjunction. Wichita, Kansas, relatively close. And the Osage Reservation. This might be the Trail of Tears, so that could mean something. We have another conjunction here in southern Indiana where these two yellow lines cross. And so this is very close to Evansville, and Jasper, Indiana is another conjunction. So that's important. And this one down here, this conjunction, would be where the Georgia Guidestones are. And what else is here? Nothing really else out here. Asheville, North Carolina falls on the line, but not the conjunction. And let's see here. And this is a very important conjunction. Biloxi, Mississippi, New Orleans all fall in this conjunction. Gulfport, Louisiana, Gulf Shores, Mobile, Alabama. A very important conjunction, which is where the Mississippi feeds into the Gulf. And let's see here. Let's go up the eastern seaboard. You guys asked me to look at Philadelphia and all that. This conjunction here is Maryland, it looks like. Maryland and Virginia. And it goes up through all these cities in Maryland. Philadelphia is here. So yes, there's an alignment there with Philadelphia. Then you get into, it runs right through Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, Waterbury. So crazy. Now, I lived on this ley line, literally smack dam. I lived in this little town called Shelton, Connecticut, which is just south of here, just south of Waterbury. Lived there for 3 years, and I actually drove through Sandy Hook. Many of you will remember, I drove right through the gate after the redesign of the school. They redesigned it to look like a crowned serpent, and I drove right through it. So that's crazy. No one had ever done that before, but that video is sitting, and I didn't live stream it, but I filmed it. That video is sitting at 1,000 views. Welcome to YouTube, where the truth is hidden. All right, guys, well, let's get into some of these headlines today. Let me flip this back over so I can see you guys. And again, this is a work in progress, this map, so this is something we will continue to work on over the course of the next several months and years. So let's close this now so I don't lose you guys again. All right, we should be good now. We should be good. We should be good. Now, what is going on in the headlines? Well, people are waking up to the possibility. Now, this is crazy. I had this in my tab for the last 2 or 3 days, waiting to present this to you. And of course, last night we get what many believe was a false flag, and I believe that too. We have to say we believe, because if we say it was, for matter of fact, they're going to say, oh, that's disinformation. So, about things as a false flag. That the Trump media actually saying that this could have been not a real event. Now, the signature that needs help on this, in my opinion, were the Old Testament connections to the priestly initiation slave ritual. At this point, Trump became a slave after Butler, Pennsylvania. Let's read this article. Perhaps no modern politician has done more to mainstream conspiracy theories than President Donald Trump. After effectively launching his career in Republican politics with false birther claims about Obama, Trump has spent a decade lobbying all manner of wild theories about the stolen 2020 election. But the monster Trump helped create could now be coming for him. While relatively few high-profile Trump allies have turned on him over the Iran war and other issues, those who have flipped tend to disproportionately come from the more conspiratorial ranks of Trump's following. We're talking about people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and various other influencers. Recently, they've been increasingly feeding anti-Trump conspiracy theories to their audiences. One that recently gained steam is that there is something suspicious about the 2024 assassination attempt, implying it could have been staged. Other theories posit the president is beholden to Israel or even compromised in some way, that Trump and his administration's loyalties to Republicans are suspect, and even that he could be the Antichrist. Now, this is crazy. They say there's no real evidence of any actual foul play, but then they don't talk about, number one, the photographers that were ushered in to take the perfect shot just before the scrutiny broke out. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the fact that Trump doesn't want to investigate the scrutiny. Said, oh, let's just move along. The very scrutiny that he claims almost life. He doesn't talk about Jesse Ventura and his experience with WWF and WWE wrestling, where he says that they use a technique called blading, where they nick the ear to get blood out. And we know that Trump was involved in WWE. They don't talk about any of that. So CNN now is running cover for Trump. Now, if you didn't know, CNN was just purchased by one of Trump's friends. I think it was Larry Ellison. So now we have the other side of the paradigm that runs cover and creates the counterbalance. So it's controlled opposition. So CNN is now controlled opposition of Fox News. So they're still not admitting that there are some very real questions about the scrutiny. Now, one of the biggest questions that I had about the scrutiny was that there was an actual movie trailer called The Electric State. The movie trailer was filmed long before the scrutiny, yet they show a giant cat being shot through the right ear and then them holding up a flag of Iwo Jima next to the cat. But yet, that was filmed long before the scrutiny. How did they depict the exact scenario of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania when that happened? So when it happened before. So it was all predictive programming. So this is what you got to watch out for. You got to continue to read between the lines because they're all running cover. They're all running cover for Trump. And that means something. Now, here's another headline. Palantir is now going to watch over our food supply. Are you kidding me? Palantir inks $300 million deal with USDA to safeguard the food supply. Let's read. Palantir announces deal with the Department of Agriculture, which will use the software company's technology to manage farmland as geopolitical risks threaten global supply chains. The agreement builds on ongoing projects with the USDA and underscores Palantir's growing role inside the U.S. government as it goes beyond cornerstone defense contracts supporting U.S. military modernization. U.S. farmers are grappling with rising supply costs and are getting squeezed by an ongoing trade war between the U.S. and its major trading partners. That includes China, a key soybean purchaser, which temporarily crippled the market late last year. In December, Trump announced his $12 billion bailout aimed at helping farmers swept up in the trade war by rising gas prices, blah, blah, blah. So let's see what else they talk about here. Palantir. The USD's contract with Palantir signals its desire to address this issue by harnessing the company's digital tools. Whoa. And it says that help prevent China and other adversarial countries from exploiting commercial land transactions to give a strategic edge over the United States. Well, why do you need software to do that? You just don't sell to foreign interests. It's pretty simple. Now, this should give everyone pause because Palantir, let's look this up. Palantir Project Gotham pre-crime. Okay. So, Palantir is already mapping our nation's data through Project Gotham. They announced it. They said it was pre-crime, essentially. So they're already looking domestically at our data and saying that they now have the ability to predict crime. That's not good, you guys. This is right out of Minority Report. Facial recognition, flock cameras, and everything else will zero in on the public, and you're going to be getting knocks at the door and electronically harassed. So Palantir has way too much power now. This is not good. What else is going on? Well, one of Turning Point's leaders have resigned in protest. Look at this. Unfortunately, it's not Erica Kirk, but someone else. TPSA leader claims organization strayed from Charlie Kirk's vision after wife Erica took over. So there's some issues going on with TPUSA. The president of Turning Points USA's University of Georgia chapter resigned from her position a week after the organization hosted Vice President J.D. Vance at the university, claiming that the event was evidence that her TPUSA has strayed from Charlie Kirk's mission. Wow. So there's trouble in paradise, isn't there? Strayed from the mission. What else? Well, if you hadn't heard, MAGA revolts over GOP support for Ghislaine Maxwell pardon. Yes, they are setting the stage to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, we all knew this was coming, but I never in my wildest dreams thought it would happen this way. A growing number of Republicans and MAGA diehards are speaking out against Donald Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell in return for cooperation after some GOP lawmakers were open to the idea. So they are now open to the idea. Why do you think that is? Because there's stuff in the Epstein files. Wow. So here we are, you guys. Let me go back to the chat and we'll have an open discussion until as we wind down the show today. What a trip. Okay. Yeah, if she's even actually ever been in jail. Exactly. I don't think she has. I think this is all just smoke and mirrors so that she can walk freely. And right now she's kind of in hiding, but I don't think she's in jail. Why is she in prison if nothing happened? Right? She's not in jail. Yeah, most of you don't believe she's in jail. I don't believe she's in jail either. Uber's new safety feature is using your phone to record every trip. You have to turn it off. It's turned on unless you turn it off. Wow. None of them ever went to jail. It's all the show. She's in hiding. Now, if there are any other points that you want me to plot that you believe are next to or near the pentagram lines, please put those in the comments section and I'll plot those for the show next time. Now, here's the only rule. Just make sure that it's at least close to the line and then I can plot it. You know, if it's somewhere in some of the northern states and you know it's not on the line, yeah, I'm not gonna plot that. But all right. Okay, you guys, we're going to pop off here. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Appreciate everybody showing up, and I'll see you likely tomorrow. I do have some information on the white horse of the apocalypse and Trump, the writer, using his bone spurs as spurs to ride the horse. That'll be tomorrow's show. We'll do a deep dive on all of the connections that we've made over the years of the white horseman of the apocalypse who goes on conquering, which is exactly what Trump is doing right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Take care.